In this video, we're going to go over the 9.1 notes. First, we just need to label our angles, so angle C. Then I'm going to label A and B. Angles will be labeled with capital letters. Sides will be labeled with lowercase letters. If you remember these three sides, we have a formula, Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. I'm going to use that on the following ones to find the sides. Since I have all three, I can find the missing sides. So I would do 3 squared plus 4 squared equals the hypotenuse on its own. When I enter these together, I get 9 plus 16, which would become 25. Square root it, and we get a 5 for that side. On this triangle, we have x squared plus 5 squared equals 7 squared. X squared plus 25 equals 49. Minus 25, x squared is equal to 24. Square root it. And we are just going to use a decimal. Second square root of 24 is 4.8. I'm going to round up to 4.9. I have x squared plus x squared equals my hypotenuse squared. When I add them together, I have 1 plus 1 is 2x squared equals 16. Divide by 2 and square root it. When we square root 8, we get 2.8. Now we're going to go on to trig, which means we'll be using 2 sides and 1 angle in order to solve for missing pieces of our triangles. So for sine, the way we can remember it is sine will be the fraction O over H. So cosine will be A over H, and tangent will be O over A. So a way to remember it is by writing SOH CAH TOA. And that will help you set up these three trig functions. Theta is a Greek letter commonly used as an unknown angle measurement. That's what they'll put in the corners to identify where you're looking from. So now I'm going to explain how to use SOHCAHTOA. O, H, and A are the sides. From my angle, if I go to the opposite side of my triangle from the given angle, this would be labeled O. From the 90-degree angle, that is the H. And then the side that is between the two angles is the adjacent. H is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to try it again. My theta has been moved. So from my theta, or my angle, I have opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Those are where we'll use to create our fractions. So if I have SOHCAHTOA, if I have the sine, that means I'm using SO, and angle C is my starting angle, which means 24 would be the O, across from the 90 is the H, 32 will be adjacent. Sine of C equals O 24 over H 40. And we're just setting it up today. Cosine means I'm using A over H. Z means I start from this angle. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Cosine of Z equals A is a 24, H is 26. Tangent is TOA. Z is my starting angle. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Tangent of Z equals O, which is a 14 over A. Sine is so. I start with angle C, there's my opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Sine of C equals O over H. Cosine is ca. From angle Z, I label O, H, A. Cosine of Z is equal to A over H. Tangent is TOA, and I'm starting with Z as my angle, so I'd go opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Tangent of Z equals O over A. The next 6 are the same process. If you want to, you can pause the video and try them on your own, and then you'll go through and check them. Cosine of A means that we are doing A over H. From angle A, opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. 24 over 40. Cosine is AH again. From angle Z, O, H, A. Cosine of Z equals A over H. Tangent is TOA. From angle A, I label opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. O is 30, A is 40. Sine is so. From angle Z, I label O, H, A. Sine of Z equals 30 over 50. Cosine A over H. From angle A, I label opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Cosine of A equals A over 37. TOA for tangent. Z is my angle I start with. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Tangent of Z equals O over A. On example 4, we have so, ca, TOA. They don't give us sine, cosine, or tangent. We have to create our own. So based off this angle, I have O, H, A. O is 4, H is 9, A doesn't have a number, so I'm going to scribble it out. I look for which one has those letters, O and H. So I will be using sine. Then I put my angle in. I don't know what it is, so I'm going to put an X equals O over H. O, H, A. A doesn't have a side, so I scribble it out. We're using so again, so sine of, I don't know my angle, equals 32 over 33. 9 O H A. This time I scribble out the H. That means I'm using TOA. So I write tangent, I don't know the angle, over 4. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. Tangent of an angle I don't know equals 7 over 18. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent, scribble out the O. That means I'm using cosine of an angle I don't know equals A over H. I have the angle 37. I go across from it and label O, H, A. H does not have a side, so I'm using TOA. Tangent of, this time you know what the angle is. The angle is 37 this time, and it will equal O over A. Angle 26, I have O and H. That means I use sine of, what's the angle? Hard to read, 26 or 28, you can pick just because it's hard to read. Equals O over H. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent. That means I'm using cosine of the angle, is that an 83 or 63? We'll say it's 63 equals A over H. Opposite, hypotenuse, 56 equals O over H. Opposite, hypotenuse, sine of my angle equals O over H. Opposite, hypotenuse, adjacent, scribble out the H. We are using tangent of angle 51 equals O over A. So on your assignment for 9.1, just write out the equation. Next time we will be solving for x.